I talked about my past experiences, my aspirations, among a few other things, but I really feel like I didn't dive deep enough into my art. So this episode will be devoted to my art, what I create and why. And by art, I mean poetry and photography as well, not just my drawings. It's all art. So the question is, how did I start? Drawing came first. I had been doodling here and there ever since I could pick up a pencil. Probably not much more than the average kid. Wasn't about till I want to say 11 or 12. I really started taking an interest. I want to start drawing cartoon characters. I of course wasn't very good at it, but I wanted to improve. So I did. I started working really hard, and I started growing to enjoy it even more, and it just took off. I started getting into photography about a year ago. Similar to the way I started drawing, I started, studied, and eventually improved. And of course, I'm still improving, as with everything. And I started writing poetry after keeping a diary. I vented in a few entries, but got bored and started getting creative with it. Eventually, just short pieces of writing turned into poems, and I never stopped. I never wanted to. While I have a great passion in all of these, drawing is my biggest priority right now. It's everything to me. It's my biggest passion. I pour upwards of 6 to 8 hours on a big project, even sometimes pushing 10 hours, just for one drawing. So I'm really pouring my heart and soul into it. I'm doing everything I can at the moment to make sure I can make a good living as a freelance artist. That's what I want right now. And while it may seem difficult, it's gonna happen because I want it enough. Sadly, there was this point where I'd lost this desire I have at the moment. It was last year, and it had gone on for a while. I said I'd lost myself, so to speak, and that was definitely a big part of it. Because, well, my art is me. I mean, I sort of like drawing, but if I was being completely honest with myself, I was losing all my passion. I wasn't all there. I was a flame that was burning out, a fire running out of fuel. I kept on drawing to have something to post on social media, satisfy my followers, I guess. I fell into a cycle of trying to please my audience, and I'd forgotten about the most important rule I'd had for myself. I create for me, no one else, and once I'm satisfied, I can share my creations to the world. Pleasing my followers wasn't really working that well anyway. My carelessness really started to show in my work, and my drawings were filled with stupid, careless mistakes that I could have fixed, but I didn't, because it didn't feel worth it. That felt extremely awful. I started thinking something had to change. It was desperate. I was desperate, because I was satisfied with nothing. Nothing I created, and slowly that dissatisfaction started to seep out into everything else in life. I got to thinking, and I remembered a tiny little dream I had a long time ago. I had pushed it back to my mind and deemed it impossible. I wanted to be able to make hyper-realism one day. I thought it was impossible. And, well, I thought making a living as an artist was impossible too. I wanted it, but I guess I was too scared, maybe. That mentality didn't get me far, and it was definitely somewhat responsible for the rut I had dug myself in. I'd started taking actions to change it, and they might have been seemingly insignificant to others, but they were everything to me. Anyone who's following me for a while probably remembers this piece. It was one of my first attempts at realism in a really long time, and looking at it, some of the detailing composition sucked, but it works. It was a good first attempt. Anyway, in making that piece, I realized I was not only satisfied with it, I enjoyed it more. I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed sitting there, focusing on all these little details and just sitting, working on shading, and I didn't think I'd like that because, well, I started getting bored with everything. But I loved it. I finally loved it again. And if you've been following me for a bit, I'm sure you also remember this one. This was a drawing of a Chevy Bel Air, and a while back I'd really messed it up. And I was tempted to drop the project, as I do other things. I always, when I mess something up, I always just, leave it behind. But that was giving up. I knew giving up would get me nowhere. So I didn't give up. For the first time, I retried it, and I fixed it. And I did it right, and I got a piece that was by far my best work yet, and gained me a huge amount of attention on social media. Well, at least on Google+. Twitter kind of didn't take Twitter very well, but even when I posted on Instagram, it got a lot of attention pretty quickly. Yeah, so I wasn't just practicing more realism, I was taking steps towards my dreams. And retrying a failed project, I wasn't just getting it done, I was teaching myself to get back up instead of leaving something behind if it got too difficult. I made some small steps that made a shift in mindset, and one that I'm so much better for, even better than before. I know I can achieve my dreams of being an artist because I'm taking the steps. I'm working to gain an audience everywhere from Twitter to Instagram. I'm pushing myself harder than ever towards improvement. I'm learning ways to start selling art. And I'm going to do that in about a year or so. That's my goal anyway. And I have a future all my own now. I'll reach the stars. It's not impossible.
You make more.
That was a great fire!